Welcome to Out of the Noise podcast, a spiritual growth podcast. This podcast is about holding sacred space to help assist humanity to raise their consciousness through connection by having courageous conversations out of the noise of mainstream with heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. We will explore spiritual concepts, practices, to deepen into your healing and the collective. Priestess Lilly is a medium, light activator, and heart-centered leader that is committed in raising the light frequency and consciousness here on Earth for us all. You can work with her and learn more by visiting www.priestesslilly.com. Enjoy your spiritual learnings.
Welcome to Out of the Noise. Today's guest is a beautiful soul and dear friend of mine, Roz. I've been inviting her to join my podcast for the past year as her journey of self-discovery has been so profound. Roz has embarked on a deep path of generational healing, working to restore her own sense of belonging. Sometimes it's only as we walk our unique path that we come to understand what has truly been missing until we finally reconnect with ourselves. And I'm honored to welcome the beautiful and brave and soulful Roz to this podcast today. I am so honored, excited to have my guest today. And for me personally, it's just to be part of her journey as she has very much evolved over the last 2 to 5 years and to see and witness the growth, the healing, her deepening into her own soul, her own gifts, her spiritual, and really leaning into the parts of yourself that have been really uncomfortable. I know that so many people today will get so much from Roz and her journey and just being open to express and share what it's been like for her. So welcome, Roz.
Thank you. Thank you.
Roz, how long have we known each other?
Do you know what, funnily enough, I was just thinking about that this morning, and I reckon it'll be at least 5 years.
Tell me a bit about yourself, your background, and your personal journey about what's led you here today to being on this podcast.
Okay. So basically, I never knew who my father was growing up. I thought I did. And when I was 10 or 11, I was told that it wasn't him, and I got given a name, and then that was that. I never really looked into anything further, but that was pretty hard as a 10-year-old to be given that and then just left to navigate that. Then a few years ago, I reckon maybe 6 or 7 years ago, a friend of mine decided she was going to jump on and she was going to find him. That never happened. And she ordered me a DNA test and nothing came of that either. We didn't find anything. So I just left it at that. And I guess I've kind of always been on a spiritual journey my whole adult life, really. But kids, it was very stop-start until I met you. I started with the Divine group. I didn't start straight away because, I'm great for sitting on the fence for a while, checking out both sides, seeing which way I want to go. And then, that just led into that. And I started really going deep and healing some really deep trauma.
Those that are probably listening, I have a private group called Divine Awakening, and it's a group of amazing women that have chosen a pathway of healing, of discovery, of learning, of tapping more into their intuition. Would you say that's what the group kind of allows? And it's a space that anyone can speak. You can show up and speak about anything. Would
Yeah.
you say that that's what the group is?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I suppose I wanted to create that group, not that we're going to talk about this group, but just for a bigger understanding for people. I wanted to create that group because where do you go to learn about your own spiritual awakening in a time when the world, there's no safe spaces to speak without being labeled? You know, it's quite toxic when you're awakening to not only the world but the system, but also awakening to yourself. So that's where I wanted to create a group where women could experience that in a different context, and that was probably part of what it was, a safe space for you to come into and share. Would you agree what you were feeling?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I know you just said, you know, you're not here to plug your group, but that has been, for me, what started this whole thing. And without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. So yeah, it's been huge to have in those ladies who just unconditionally are there to listen, to guide.
And I think from, you know, just what I feel within that group space, it's such a vast majority of women from all walks of life. And it's a space of, you can just show up in whatever form you want to show up in. Vulnerability, crying. There is no judgment at all around anything. Would you agree?
Shown up in all sorts of states.
Just speaking about the group, I honestly think that's true sisterhood, that I think us as women don't actually get to, we experience it in our friendships on one level, but not like that it is in that space.
Exactly.
Going back to your dad, how did you end up discovering and finding who your father was, sister? Because I know that was a massive journey.
Yeah. After I did a meditation at one stage and I did some really deep healing. And then, as I said earlier, this is 6-7 years on, I finally got a message from the Ancestry to say I had a match. And I did a bit of digging and I sort of thought, holy shit, I think that's on my dad's side. This is a bit crazy. So, as I do, Google, looked her up and yep, there she was. She even lived in my same town, which was insane. But because I'm a fence sitter, I left it. And I thought, okay, cool, I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I reckon maybe 3 to 4 months I left it. Sort of keep just checking on her page and just looking. And then one day I just decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to message her. And I mean, oh my God, this message I sent, I mean, how do you say that? What do you even say? So it was crazy, to the point, just, hey, I think you're related to my dad. I'm looking, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even reread it because I couldn't. I had to just send it. And then from there, yeah, she contacted me back and we met up and it's been great since then.
So those that are listening, Roz lives in a little town called Rangiora. And so Rangiora probably has maybe 30,000, 40,000 people?
Yeah, something like that.
It's a little country town just on the outskirts, north of Christchurch, in New Zealand. So we're not talking like a massive city, like, you know, Auckland or New York. We're talking a little country town. And the fact that who she now realizes is their auntie has lived in the town just down the road. She's probably passed her in the supermarket 100 times before you actually realize that it's your auntie. And at this stage, you still aren't aware about what's happened to your father, are you?
No. So through her, I obviously then found out that unfortunately he'd actually passed. But, you know, I actually think a part of me knew that deep down. And, you know, the divine timing of it all, that because I had a huge fear of, you know, rejection, and all those things that go with looking for a parent. Am I going to be good enough? But with him already gone, I think I knew it because he couldn't reject me this time. It was easier that way. but it still really sucked, you know. Of course, I went through all the, if I'd only done it earlier, but these things have a way of just being the right timing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how has, obviously, you've gained and you're learning more about your dad's side of the family. How has that impacted you and your family in a bigger context?
I feel more complete in myself, which has allowed me to just be a calmer parent, more understanding.
Yeah. And do you feel that, how has it helped you with your own individual healing?
Oh, that one's been a big one for me. You know, when I look back now, I realize so much about myself that I didn't understand back then. It's really made me know my self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I really sought validation and acceptance from anyone who would give it to me, especially guys, men, you know, when I just needed to give it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. I really, really just know my worth.
Oh, you know what, Roz? I think that is something on the planet right now that so many people are unraveling and learning in a bigger context, their value and their worth. And I think it's something for so long, exactly what you've said, that we have given away without even realizing we've actually given it away, and or even what it looks like. In 2020, the biggest word was sovereignty. Well, sovereignty is value and worth. How do I value myself before the system, before others, which we've always given that in a light, that in a power way. So it's a tough lesson, but it's a lesson that I think is really unraveling now tenfold for so many people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an ongoing thing, you know, like I'm sitting here saying that. It's not like I've got it, I'm done and I've sorted it and my life is great. It's not quite that simple. It's an ongoing thing. It's multi-layered. It's have to keep working at it. Because I still have that self-doubt and the fear and we all do.
We all do. Because that's the thing, that what you just mentioned, you know, it's multi-layered. Yeah, because we're a multi-dimensional person. We're a multi-dimensional frequency being that, you know, people go, and I laugh at this. People say to me, I'm healed. I've spiritually awakened. I've done my healing around that. And I just go, fuck, I find that fascinating because, you know, you might have done your healing around it on one layer, but there'll be another layer that will pop up and reveal itself, because that's the multidimensional being that we are. But we have to remember, as the world continually evolves, we evolve with it. So we never come to the state of kumbaya, I'm a guru, because I don't believe that anyone's a guru. I think that's what's actually collapsing. As we keep evolving, that's when we really get to the core of why we're here or what we're here to do. Why we're here when we're here in our 20s might not be why we're here in our 50s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I love that you've shared that, Roz, because so many people, worth and value is something that is embedded in us to be outside of us.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's funny, I see it in other people now.
Because you've healed it.
Well, I'm healing it, you know. And I'm doing some of the deep work myself, you know, look, and then we'll do something else and that comes back up again. And I think, fuck, you know, haven't I done?
Yeah. Where did that come from?
Like, really?
Yeah.
It just shows that, you know, it's just going that deeper level again of healing. So it's frustrating to, you know, think, I've already done it.
Yeah.
Move on. I want to do something else.
Yeah. Can we get to the good stuff?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Totally agree. I absolutely agree with you, Roz. Would you say, how would you say that you're, through the spiritual awakening journey that you've been on and discovering your dad, how has this really influenced your own connection with your dad now in spirit?
So, I have been able to connect with him. And yeah, I kind of realize now that this might seem really strange, but I think I can actually have a better connection with him on the other side than what I could have had he still been here, for multiple reasons. But it's just, yeah. And one thing through a meditation that he'd said to me was, I can do so much more for you on this side than I ever could have on the other side. And that's really stuck with me. And I truly believe it. And I know without a doubt that he's been the one that has guided this all and pushed us. I want to say gently pushed us, but I'm sure it has been a lot of shoving as well to get where we are today. And, there's that divine timing again, because 6-7 years ago, the timing wasn't right, which is why I found nothing. Not one person on Facebook with that, that last name. And there's heaps of them. There are heaps of them. It's really interesting to me. And when it comes to my aunt, there's a lot of toxic people in the family. Now, she had to be ready to really shut the door to those ones before he would allow me, I think, to come into the fold. And it's taken her this long to really close the door to those ones.
I've always said in multiple readings to so many people when they say to me, oh, why couldn't that person be like that to me in this physical world? Sometimes it's their own fear, it's their own capacity. It's when souls reach the spiritual world or, the other realm, whatever sits in people's vibrational frequency, they can see life from a higher perspective without their conditioning, without their belief systems, without their fear. And quite often in this lifetime, in our physical lifetime, in our world, it's the fear, it's our conditioning, it's our programming, it's our generational trauma. It's if I say that, then I'm disrespecting my elders, my own family. That when they get to the spirit world or into that other realm, the reality is their relationship with their soul the relationship with their self changes, their relationship with their soul changes, that allows them to see things and become the light that they needed to be, that they not necessarily could be in this world.
Yeah.
I know that people that in this physical world that I have relationships with, I know that they do not have the capacity to be what I need in this lifetime. But I know that when they go over to the next lifetime, spiritual world or the next realm, they'll be everything that I need, because they'll have a higher perspective they'll see things differently that they not necessarily could see in this world. That I want to say to people that listening to this, spirit only gives you what you're actually capable of dealing with it at certain times. So obviously for your auntie, that's why there had to be that door closed in order for you to step through and to step in with your, beautiful family, for her to have that realization, because for so long that was probably normal. That was her normal. And that's the thing. When something for so long has been our normal, it's really hard to be open to receive something that feels completely different. And it's like, well, actually, that's duality and that's polarity on, both sides of the coin. That also is what makes it easier to transition through and harder to, be. So I find that quite fascinating. It's one of those things, divine timing, people, that you want it, but then you actually, if you got it when you wanted it, you might not have appreciated it as much. It comes when it's needed.
Exactly. Yeah.
For those listening, Roz, because there will be people listening, because I know there are people that will listen to this podcast that will be in such similar situations, feeling disconnected from their lineage or uncertain around their own family history. What advice would you offer them to beginning or discovering their own journey?
Probably the biggest thing would be just be brave. do the whole one day at a time. Just take that first step. But, you've just got to be brave, because I had so much fear to overcome with it, as I mentioned earlier, and also guilt. I had a lot of guilt towards my mother, that this would really hurt her. So that guilt of making her feel not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But, you've just got to put myself first this time. But I'm so pleased I did it for myself. I'm so pleased I carried on, because I could have easily just given up, because it was just, it's hard. It would have been easier to just give up and keep everybody else happy. But, put yourself first, be brave.
Fear is courage of the unknown.
Mm.
When fear comes into our body, we have a choice around, do we embody that fear or do we step to courage?
Mm.
And, for you, there's the fear around what others will think, but then you've chosen the courage for what your soul needs. And I think that's something that is so magical, healing, sacred, that you've been able to offer your soul, but you've also been able to offer your children.
Yeah.
Because it heals something within you that will heal something within them.
Yeah. And I'm definitely starting to see that with the kids. Yeah.
This is generational healing. We talk on about spirituality and generational healing, but what you've just done is generational healing. Your children will no longer carry that feeling unworthy, feeling like not complete, that because you're healing it, that there won't be holding them back. It won't be imprinted in their blueprint without us even not knowing that we're doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Has this brought you peace, sister?
Yeah, it really has. Definitely it has. Even though I didn't get to meet him, I feel like I know him through my aunt. And I've also, I keep in touch with one of his brothers, so an uncle. And through the two of them, with their stories, hearing about him, with connecting with him on the other side. We've got photos now. We have one up on the wall. Ruby's got my youngest, she's got lots of photos of him in her room. So, yeah, I feel complete.
I love that. What have you learned about yourself during this journey?
I have learnt that I am actually strong, stronger than I ever thought that I was, and that I can do things when I put my mind to it. And even though I had to go against a lot of people that I knew this would hurt, I had to do it for myself and show my kids that, be strong. You can achieve what you need to.
How has this shaped your own personal growth?
That's been pretty huge. Gosh, where do I even start? With my spiritual journey, it just keeps getting bigger and better. And more things are opening to me, and it's been amazing. And it just makes me want to keep going. As I said earlier, through the years, it's been so stop and start. And now I'm really making the time for myself to really put myself out there.
Yeah.
And that's huge. I've always been the girl who hid away. So no more of that.
No more of that, Roz. No more of that. So, random question. I'm curious. You might not know the answer, but I'm curious. What's your soul mission, Roz?
A soul mission. I don't actually know the answer to that, and that's something that I have been looking into and feeling into for quite some time now. And I am really hopeful that it's going to come to me soon, because I'm really just not sure.
Okay. It will come, sister.
I think it will.
It'll come. Do you have any last final gems of wisdom that you'd like to share?
Yeah, something that actually just came to me last night, It's been, because we've just had school holidays, obviously, and
there's been a lot of breath work.
Yeah, there really has. And when you look at, I'm always trying to keep grounded and keep calm and all that. And of course, our go-to is, water or outside. But it actually dawned on me last night, you know what? As much as my kids stress me out sometimes, they ground me so much. Those three drive me nuts, but God, they ground me. They're my everything. I don't know what it is, that pull that they ground me to myself. It's just amazing.
Well, it's your family and it's the love.
Yeah.
And it's the cycle of you feeling complete.
I think so, yeah.
Roz, for someone that has been witness to your journey over the last, 3 to 5 years and really seen you do the work, like you have done the work, where I think it's easy for people to say, I'm doing the work and they're doing the light and fluffy stuff. You have done the shadow. You have done the deep, dig in the trenches, gone deep. And I think that's something that people don't talk about in spirituality. They think spirituality is meditating, kumbaya, going for a walk, pulling a few oracle angel cards. And then when it gets to the tough, sticky shit, they're out.
Yeah.
But the reality is, normally you get those breakthroughs, don't you, when you're in the tough, sticky shit?
Unfortunately, that's when they come.
Yeah.
It's hard. I've really, really tough times throughout the last 3 to 5 years. I wish it was all fluffy.
Yeah, so do I.
Which, like real ugly crying type stuff. But it's so worth it when you come out the other end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Roz, for coming on and sharing your story. And I know that you didn't want to, but you knew you had to because for your own healing. But thank you for just showing up, being vulnerable and sharing, because I know I know that I have so many listeners that are in the same space as you that are fearful, that were fearful of the unknown, but they're being pulled to find family and parents.
Yeah, and I hope they take the step to get in there and do it. But yeah, and it is hard. It's hard to come on here and talk because it's putting the real me out to be a witness to, and that's a huge fear of mine. So yes, although you said I didn't want to do this, it's not that I didn't want to. It's just that fear of me, the real me. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, because you know what, sister? Your wisdom that you share with others, your wisdom that you've just shared has a ripple effect in the world, and that's how we start to heal.
Yeah.
And so someone's got to show up first.
Yeah.
And you know what? The podcasts that are always the vulnerable ones are always the ones where, you get the most feedback. People email me and go, holy crap, because it's triggered something in them that they're not willing to heal or look at.
Yeah, that's cool. And even helps one person, that's...
Yep, that's right. If it helps one person, you're having the ripple effect for someone to get closer to their authentic self and their truth.
Yeah.
So thank you, Roz, gorgeous.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No worries.